Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And today the question is, what does the Bible say about dieting and exercise? Now, before I get into that subject, or I should say before I actually read to you the scriptures, I wanted to tell you that today I read an article about water fasting. Now, if you don't know what water fasting is, it's a certain type of dieting, if you will, that some people use in order to lose a lot of weight. In fact, it's the quickest way that you could possibly lose weight at all. There is no other faster way to lose weight than to do a water fast. Now, what is a water fast? Well, a water fast is when you eat nothing, absolutely nothing, and all you drink is water. Now, some people will do this for maybe 5 days, sometimes 10 days, sometimes 20 days, or even longer. Because the human body, according to some researchers, according to some sources, the human body can survive without food anywhere from 40 to 75 days without any food. Which means you can drink water for that long, and your body will use its storages of fat in order to burn that for energy as reserves. Because what your body does is when you consume food, it takes that food, and whatever it does not use immediately, it will store as fat. Now, your body uses your fat as reserves. So if imagine it as like a second tank of gas. So you have a car and you put your gas into your car into the main tank, right? Now suppose that you have a second tank of gas within your car and you fill that one up as well, and that is your reserve tank. Now suppose you go and you drive and you notice that the fuel gauge goes from full to empty, right? Well, you have just depleted your main tank. But thankfully, you got the reserve, and it burns that second tank, and you're able to get to the local gas station. So that's kind of what the human body does. It takes food, it stores it as fat, and then it uses that fat in case of an emergency. And so what people will do is they'll do a water fast, and they will stop eating, and they will actually just drink only water for X amount of days, and your body goes through a process, and correct me if I'm wrong in pronouncing this, but it's ketosis, in which your body actually breaks down the fat and uses that as energy. And they say that it happens after about 3 days for most individuals. So during the first 3 days of not eating food, okay, your body uses other places to get energy from, and after the third day, your body will transition into ketosis, in which it will burn the fat in your body. So water fasting has been proved to be beneficial in many ways, and that it will actually heal certain ailments. It helps you lose weight, and the benefits are just endless. So a lot of people use water fasting as a means to lose weight, and it's a great way. And don't confuse fasting with starvation. Starvation is completely different, in which your body will actually start breaking down essential organs and muscle fibers in order to create energy to survive. And that is starvation. That happens after ketosis. After all of your reserves of fat have been depleted, that is when it actually, the body will start to break down other parts of your body to get energy. Now, I say all this to point out what the Bible has to say about fasting. Now, it's interesting to me that a lot of people will attack this method of losing weight because they think it's dangerous, which it does have some risks. Okay, you can be faint. You can faint. You can lose energy. You won't feel as strong. There's lots of risks involved with this. But the benefits, I would say, outweigh the risks by far. But it's interesting to me that the biggest critics of water fasting are people who've never done it. People who've never missed a meal in their life. They've gone every single day eating a full course meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they're the biggest critics of water fasting. Now, what does the Bible say about fasting? I'm going to read it to you. It says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 16, it says, "Moreover, when you fast, be not as the hypocrites, as of a sad countenance. For they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head and wash thy face, that thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly." Now Jesus here is talking about the religious aspect of fasting, in which people will fast for the purpose of being recognized as being religious, or, oh, that man's a good Christian because he fasts. Well, Jesus is saying not to do it with that motive. Instead, if you're going to do it for a religious reason, do it only to be seen by your Father, which is in heaven. But notice that he says, when you fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance. It says, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast. So what Jesus admits here is that fasting has a benefit, and that it causes a person to lose weight so that his face becomes disfigured. So when you fast, in this case we're talking about water fasting, what benefit you receive is that, or I should say one, effect from this would be that your face will not look as full as before. So because your body obviously is burning fat. So one of the places that your body chooses to burn fat from first is typically seen in your face. But that's okay, because over time it will start to go towards your stomach and other places of your body that you really want that fat to be burned. So Jesus said, don't be as the hypocrites when you fast. They disfigured their faces. So he admits that there is a effect when you fast, and that is losing weight. Another place in Scripture is in Mark chapter 8. It says in verse 1 through 3, it says, "In those days the multitude being very great, and having nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples unto him, and saith unto them, I have compassion on the multitude, because they have now been with me 3 days, and have nothing to eat. And if I send them away fasting to their own houses, they will faint by the way, for diverse of them came from far." So Jesus says here that if he sends them away fasting without having anything to eat, that they'll faint. So that is a downside to fasting, is that it will cause you to be faint, it will cause you to be weak, and that is a downside to it. But you can also see the benefit of fasting when Jesus went into the wilderness himself in Luke chapter 4. It says that in verse 2 of Luke chapter 4, being 40 days tempted of the devil, and in those days he did eat nothing. It says in those days he did eat nothing. And when they were ended, he afterward hungered. It says being 40 days tempted of the devil. So he fasted for 40 days, 40, and he ate nothing. And one of the benefits that he received from this is that in verse 14 it says, "And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee." So you actually have a spiritual benefit when you fast, and that is you draw closer to God. You receive the power of God when you fast. So there is a spiritual benefit as well as an added physical benefit of losing weight. So I would challenge you that if you do want to lose weight, try something a bit unorthodox. Try something a bit different. It is the fastest way, it is the best way to lose weight, in my opinion. and that is to try water fasting. Thanks for listening. I'm Brian Price.